This year, there have been a number of mass casualty shootings across the nation. But three in particular have really stood out to the media. The Colorado Theater shooting, the Sikh Temple shooting in Wisconsin, and now the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Connecticut. Earlier this year, I told you there are major problems with the theory that the Colorado Theater shooting was a lone wolf attack, as it's often called. Is that true of these other two shootings as well? This subject deserves full disclosure. It was Friday, July 20th, 2012. Police in Aurora, Colorado say 24-year-old James Holmes walked into a theater during the premiere of the Batman movie The Dark Knight Rises. Holmes was heavily armed and opened fire. According to police, Holmes was wearing a tactical helmet, vests, and leggings, as well as throat and groin protectors. Police say that he used an AR-15 assault rifle, a Remington shotgun, and a .40 caliber Glock handgun during the attack. Police say they found a second .40 caliber Glock handgun inside of his car. Police on the scene told the media and the public confidently that this was a lone wolf attack.
All the evidence we have, every single indicator is that this is all Mr. Holmes's activity and that he wasn't particularly aided by anyone else.
But was that true? Reports from eyewitnesses who were there during the attack was that James Holmes got a phone call while he was sitting in the theater, that he walked to an emergency exit and opened the door. Also, that tear gas was thrown from a second location inside the theater. Listen.
He got a phone call, and most people, when they get phone calls in theaters, they go straight out into the lobby to answer it. This person went directly to the emergency exit. He had his foot propped open by the door, and from the crack, it looked like he was signaling somebody or looking for somebody to come his way.
As I was sitting down to get my seat, I noticed that a person came up to the front row, to the front right, sat down, and as credits were going, I know it seemed like he got a phone call. So he went out towards the emergency exit doorway, which I thought was unusual to take a phone call.
From what we saw, he wasn't alone. He had someone with him because the second can of tear gas didn't come from his side.
The official story from police, this was a lone wolf attack involving just one shooter, James Holmes. Police, of course, were not there during the attack. Witnesses who were say it was not one shooter, it was two. August 5th, 2012, Wade Michael Page, a 40-year-old former soldier, walked into a Sikh temple in Oak Creek, Wisconsin, and opened fire. 7 people were killed, 20 others injured. Page killed himself in the parking lot of the temple after being shot by a police officer. This, too, was a lone wolf attack, that according to police on the scene shortly after the attack happened. But again, in this case, according to eyewitnesses, that was not the case.
My dad is out and at the hospital, and we're just relaying information back and forth and trying to get as much info as possible.
What, if any, have you learned from him about what transpired inside, or from your mother?
So the most I can learn, or the most I know as of now, is that there are multiple shooters. There's multiple people. It was a very well coordinated thing. It wasn't haphazard, and I think that's why police and everybody are taking the proper, protocol to get the situation under control.
We have our temple service every Sunday. Starts around 10:30, and usually goes in the afternoon. And around between 10 and 10:30, 4 white males who were dressed darkly, dressed in all black clothing, came in and opened fire on our congregation.
In that case, witnesses said at least 4 people had opened fire, and it was not simply one lunatic. They were 4 well-trained people who seemed to know what they were doing and had a plan. Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut comes under attack. As you know, 20 young children were killed along with 6 adults. The 7th adult, the reported shooter, 20-year-old Adam Lanza, who died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. And again, police on the scene telling us this was the work of a lone wolf. That is what police have said. But again, there is evidence beginning to emerge that
I have reports that the teacher saw 2 shadows running past the building, past the gym, which would be rear shooting.
For instance, take this video of 2 people seen running through the woods shortly after the shooting. Now, the man that you see here who's running and is actually caught by police was put in handcuffs and then placed into a car.
He'd walk a guy out of the woods. I saw him walk a guy out earlier with handcuffs. He walked by us and said he didn't do it.
It was a grown man.
A grown man, yeah. He's sitting in the front of the police car over there now. So, I mean...
He didn't have a gun?
No, I didn't see any gun. Just had him handcuffed, and he walked by us and looked into parents' eyes and said, I didn't do it.
How was he dressed?
Camo pants with a dark jacket.
Turns out he may have been the father of a student who arrived at the scene and was scared. But there is, at the top of this video, a second person in the woods who's seen for just a brief moment. No report as to who this person actually was. So what you need to know here is that in all three of these cases, there isn't just wild speculation that maybe there was more than one shooter. In fact, there's a good reason to question this whole narrative, because there's been no evidence so far, no evidence provided by police, other than what they've told us, that there is only one shooter here. There's an easy way to prove it. Police have not yet released the surveillance video outside the theater in Colorado. Show the video and prove that it was one person. Just as they have not released the video outside of Sandy Hook. Again, show the surveillance video, prove it was one person. You see, these questions are worth asking of law enforcement until they provide evidence otherwise. And that is full disclosure.